podcast. My name is Aaron Doom Spikinator Harris, and I am joined by three terribly mutilated, horrible-looking monsters.
See, I thought we'd get back to like saying nice things about each other at some.
No, fuck you guys. I'm joined by Scott Haberdashing Sesterhan.
What up?
Stephen Frostbite Allen.
I'm not that bad.
It's pretty bad.
Okay, fair point.
And Michael Esdrish and Matthews.
Oh my goodness. I am ridiculously great looking. I don't know what you're talking about.
Look at that picture. Look at his Skype picture.
I know, he
looks,
does look so handsome.
right. And then you see him in real life. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, I know.
That's not you at all.
It's not.
You just took a picture of Christian Bale from American Psycho and put that as your profile picture.
Instead, he looks like hippie Jesus.
Yeah,
Oh,
the
wow.
clean-shaven look definitely is a shocker.
It is.
Compared to the usual, yeah.
I am on a mean streak today. All right, so let's go on to the news real quick. First off, Tourney Force 5v5 tourney is set for February 20th at 4 p.m. It's a Saturday. You can go to the subreddit and you can sign up and join us. There is going to be a team representing each of the teams in the network and representing other community teams such as LOL Anonymous, and I think there's going to be a Just Okay team. And yeah, so we're going to have a big little best of one tournament, and you can
Make us proud, guys.
tune in and watch or sign up and join in. I'm going to be in it. There's going to be other guys in the network, so should be fun. Join up, and I'm gonna try to make sure that I have that in the notes of the post too. Straw poll is up also on our subreddit. I will post a link to that in the show notes as well. But straw poll is up. Basically, we have a TeamSpeak. You may know it, you may not know it. We want you to join us in our TeamSpeak, but we're also looking into other options because you have to like install TeamSpeak and set it up and all that. And there's a new voice program called Discord that can run through your browser or through a download application. So we kind of want to keep it open and maybe possibly make it a little easier for people to jump in. But let us know what you think. Check out the straw poll either on our subreddit or in the link of the show notes, and let us know whether you want TeamSpeak or Discord or have any other ideas. But we want to chat with you on voice comms when we play. We want you to jump in the T-Force chat channel in game. So join us. That's the best way to join us. After most podcasts, we usually do community games. So someone will usually throw up a game. You know, Adam's famous for doing it, or I'll do it. A lot of people do it and just say, hey, blah blah blah, password this, jump in, and the first 9 people hop in and go.
Or if you're just like looking for like 1 or 2 more people for a normal or something, you can just shout it out in the T-Force chat channel.
I feel there's going to be a lot more commotion once like Dynamic Queue comes up. There'll be a lot more channels open for people to hop in.
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. And, probably a lot more people playing ranked and stuff, which is cool. But either way, we want to make this a community and a safe place where you can have fun and play with a lot of other people who aren't complete assholes. So T-Force channel in game, and check out that straw poll and let us know what you think for voice links. Also, we had a question recently come in on our Reddit from a listener asking about old episodes. If you want to listen to any old episodes, because we do go back and reference them a lot, because we switched RSS feeds and switched our web site around a little bit here since the show started. We don't have all of the shows on the website, but we do have a site that you can go to. It's TFPCDN, so Trinity Force podcast content delivery network.com. So TFPCDN.com
that's what that stands for. Okay.
Yeah.
yes /4 words.
And
what
that's
that is
4 words FOUR.
yes FOURWARDS.
Yeah.
Once again, I'll post in the show notes, but we
all
did
the
post
links
on the
that we
Reddit
have here will be posted in the show notes here.
Description.
the description. And but
Right.
that's where you can find every old episode of ours. So tfpcdn.com/forwards, and you can listen to old episodes. So going on from there, let's hop out of the news and let's hop straight to our trinket tip, which is on body blocking. And who wants to take this one away?
Mike, I think you got this one.
Yeah.
All right. So body blocking, pretty straightforward. You know, a lot of people do already understand the concept of body blocking. It's where you intercept a skill shot or a skill. It doesn't necessarily need to be a skill shot, but skill to stop the damage from it being dealt to another player. And the way that this is done is just, you know, getting in front of it. And you can do this with actually a lot of abilities. You know, Ezreal Q, pretty much any skill shot, Morgana binding, stuff like that. Blitzcrank grabs, all sorts of stuff like that. But a lot of people don't actually know that you can do this with other spells, a lot of AoE spells. For example, Ezreal Ultimate. If you're actually in front of somebody when it gets hit, it will reduce the damage dealt behind it, because Ezreal's damage gets reduced up to 5 times based on how many things it hits before it, you know, passes through the next target. So if you know, if you see an Ezreal ult coming, standing in front of it will reduce the damage dealt behind behind you.
The same thing goes for like Varus's piercing arrow and Caitlyn's Piltover Peacemaker.
So those are like simple ways of reducing damage being dealt to your team that like tanky people can utilize. There's also other ways that you can take damage from being dealt from other people, like MF's bouncing shot. If you position yourself properly, you can make it hit you rather than your ally. You can also do the same thing with Master Yi's Alpha Strike. You can get it a greater chance of likelihood of hitting you rather than an ally by being near the initial target. So there's a lot of like easy, simple things that you can do to reduce the damage dealt to your team, and that can make the difference. Like especially in the early portions of the game, taking a hit like that over somebody else that's squishy, it can really matter. It can help a lot as well.
Right.
Absolutely. And I think this is one of the big things that separates like a good tank from a bad tank is body blocking, because
Words
as a tank,
straight from Riot.
yeah, as a tank, that's your job. It's key to know how to body block. Like, you know, obviously you don't want to be dying to everything or eating every single skill shot, but if you can save someone from dying or, you know, eat damage that's going to help keep your carry from getting chunked, you obviously want to do that as a tank. If you have good sustain, or you have, you know, good tanky stats, or lots of armor, lots of MR or health, you know, that's your job, is to go and soak them skill shots, and don't be afraid of it. You know, be careful with certain CCs, because sometimes eating that CC, even as tanky as you are, can still mean certain death. But you know, you have to weigh the pros and cons. But usually if you're not going to die to it, or you can keep your carry alive by eating that, it's almost best to do it.
And you can make some crazy plays too. Like, I mean, obviously you can use it in conjunction with summoner spells, and then there's it's pretty baller if you save someone's life by like flashing into a Caitlyn ultimate, and then you're just like, I got you, bro.
Yeah, like one thing I want to note about this sort of mechanic. Let's talk about bot lane. Let's say you're against like a Blitzcrank or a Thresh with a single target CC spell, their hook, the chain. Obviously, what we're telling you here is to stay behind the minions, to deny them that opportunity. And that works till a certain point where those supports will get the idea, okay, you're going to stand behind the minions. Okay, I'll just run behind them. And now you're just way out of position. So it's important to realize just standing right behind the minions isn't good enough. You need to be watching and predicting the movements of the enemy support or enemy laner, whichever lane you're in, just so that you're not relying solely on your own creep wave. Because the creeps will die, they can reposition. There's a lot of different things that can happen to the point where the position you were in originally is now disadvantageous to yourself. So it really is a fluid mechanic. It's transitioning between using your own poke, CC, and landing skill shots and all that stuff, and keeping yourself stay safe at a reasonable distance from the enemy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Body blocking, important stuff.
Absolutely. I mean, like we said, as a tank, learn it, love it, get to know it, or even not as a tank. It's just kind of if you can eat a skill shot and not die and keep someone on your team from dying, that's just a huge win. Period. So. Let's hop into the item discussion. This week we're going to talk about 3 different items, and the reason is because they're all very similar, and they build out of one key item that we're going to talk about, which is Aegis of the Legion. And then there's 2 items that builds into, which are Locket of the Iron Solari and Banner of Command. So first we're going to talk about Aegis of the Legion, and then we're going to talk about the items it builds into and why would you pick one over the other and when. So let's first hop into Aegis of the Legion. Aegis of the Legion is a item. It has a total cost of 1,500 gold. It's built from a Null Magic Mantle, a Crystalline Bracer, which builds from a Ruby Crystal and a Rejuve Bead. And it provides 200 health, 20 magic resist, 100% base health regen. And then it gives you a unique passive aura on it called Legion, which is nearby allied units within 1,100 units gain plus 10 magic resist. I mean, it's a pretty straightforward item. Gives you health, gives you MR, gives you health regen, and then it also gives nearby teammates bonus magic resist.
It's a really traditional item that has been built for seasons and seasons and seasons, even though it's gone through many different changes and many different upgrades. I'm trying to remember what the old upgrade to Aegis used to be. Regardless, what it is right now.
Maybe?
Yeah, Runic Bulwark.
Runic Bulwark, yep.
But this is a really, really crucial item to have on your team if the enemy team has more than one magic damage threat, be it their top lane or their jungler. Even certain supports like Brand can put out a lot of magic damage. And this is a way as a support or a jungler, which is the 2 main roles it's usually built on, to negate a lot of damage, give your team useful stats, and give yourself useful stats.
Yeah, don't be afraid to build as a top either. Some tops can later on. Yeah, but like the thing about it is like a lot of the top laners who may want to get those tanky stats, they're usually going to be taking teleport anyways. So the period that this is going to be useful for them is pretty small. That's why I like to see more on junglers and supports.
Yeah, I really like this on a lot of supports against heavy magic damage teams because I mean, it's not a crazy amount of magic resist you're giving to your team, but the way resistances work are really impactful. Especially if it could be the difference between your carries surviving a Brand ultimate or not. Like that amount of resistance could be a huge game changer, and all you needed to do is buy an Aegis.
I've loved this item for a really long time, so I don't know. It's been, I mean, it used to be a standalone item that it didn't have in like built form where it didn't grow into something else, and then they added it to where it did become Runic Bulwark, and then removed that, and it's had a lot of changes, but it's been quintessential in most teams as far as like a really solid item. It's hard to go wrong with this item, honestly. If there's even some magic damage on the enemy team, you can justify this item.
Right. Just as a like frame of reference, by the time you're getting this, some of your squishier targets may have around, let's say 40 MR, which equates to roughly a 28.5% damage reduction. Boosting that up to 50, damage reduction goes to 33.33%. Repeating, of course.
Just having
Damage.
survival.
Yeah, no, that like so
Damn
you're
it,
jumping.
Leroy.
It really is a good amount of reduction that you can put into your team, and that's just not for one person. That can be up to 5 people that are within, I think, what is 1100 range.
Yes,
1100 range, yes.
So that in a team fight, that is encompassing a large portion of your team.
Yep.
Absolutely. And when you have an aura item like that, you kind of become that epicenter of your team. You're kind of expected to be kind of like we just talked about, the body blocker, the damage soak, the tank, that's usually what you're doing is you're there to help everyone out and be kind of that tinky little wall.
Mm-hmm.
And
So
then
let's go on to talk about the other 2 items here.
Can we start?
The way to-
start with Locket. I want to start with Locket
Right.
specifically.
Yeah, let's start with Locket here. Locket is one of those items that builds out of Aegis of the Legion. It also takes another Kindle gem plus Aegis of the Legion, and the total cost is 2,500 gold. So the difference between Aegis and Locket will give you 400 health, 20 magic resist, 100 base health regeneration, and 10% cooldown reduction, along with its aura and its active, which is a unique shield for yourself and nearby allied champions for 2 seconds, absorbing a 90 to 345 damage based on their level, and it has a 600 cooldown and a range of 600.
60-second cooldown.
Sorry, yeah, 60.
And then also not only do nearby allied champions gain plus 10 magic resist, it's minions as well, and it's
15.
increased to 15
Yeah.
on this item. So it's 15 magic resist for you and minions.
That's important.
Which yeah, it's very important. It helps with wave management, with sieging and all that. So
Very
but I mean, it gives you double the health of Aegis. It gives you that CDR, which is nice, and it gives you the bonus magic resist aura for the extra 5 magic resist. Plus, it applies to minions. But here's that big thing: is the active. This is what's so key about this item is knowing how to use the active.
Right. I mean, there's a lot of theories that you use it when you first go in, when the fight starts, yada yada yada. As long as you get it on, I personally like to put it on at the start of the fight. That's when you're going to have the most chance to absorb damage. Because I mean, it's a shield; it's temporary health, so it's better for that to go away first. But it's important to note, like, giving that shield will give you any assist that person who got that shield got the kill for.
Also,
So
using it early, you have a chance of getting it up again later on in case the fight maybe disintegrates into skirmishes and you separate, and now you have some sort of like mini fight that's going to break out in like 30 or 40 seconds later. Those happen.
right.
Those happen.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, and like at level 18, a 345 damage shield is absolutely huge.
it is.
On certain people more than others. Everyone can use it.
Squishies. I mean,
Well, I mean, like even it gives flat health 345. So a 345 health shield on a tank even that gets amplified through all their armor and magic resist too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
And I can't stress enough like how often this item is just straight up underrated. Like the value of that shield and the value of the resistances can, I mean, it's not one of those things where you see like, oh, somebody made a crazy flash hook, so like that one is the fight, or like they, hit a perfect Oriana ball. But like it's one of those hidden powers that can like actually make a significant difference in it.
right, and all you
Yeah.
have to do is just be there.
but there's 2 big caveats to it. One, you have to use it,
And 2, you have to be there.
and 2,
Yeah.
you have to
Right.
be there. And 3 is that you have to know when to use it, because it's on a fairly short cooldown, which is nice, so you can use it often. But the biggest time this is most important is when you're dealing with like a wombo combo team. You're against a team that has that big ult or that big damage, area of effectability that they're going to throw on you. And being able to hit this at the time that that's hitting, it can just completely make or break a team fight.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk a little bit about the opposite of it. Well, its counterpart, anyways, Banner of Command, which is the other item that builds out of Ages of the Legion.
We used to have a shirt promotion for this.
Oh yeah,
Frank the Tank?
Frank
Yeah.
the Tank.
So it builds out of Aegis of the Legion and a Fiendish Codex. So your stats on this item include 200 health, 20 magic resist, 100 base health regen, 60 ability power, and 10% cooldown reduction. It has the aura that Locket of the Iron Solari has, the 15 magic resist. Its active, however, is called Promote, which greatly increases the power of a lane minion and grants it immunity to magic damage. Wait. Right. Sorry, I thought it used to say that whatever that minion killed, you got the gold from. I don't
You
know if
still
that's still
do.
the case
You
or
still
not.
You still
You
do.
still do?
It's us.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
That's
it's
just not
noted in
specifically
game,
stated.
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, there's an actual counter that shows you how much gold you've earned from minions.
However,
Also, if it theoretically were to kill a champion, you would get gold as well.
However, it is important to note that you no longer get the minion buff to magic resist. It's only allied champions.
Right.
I think.
Yeah.
Yes. So, the big thing about this, once again, is the active, though, is that it makes a minion, and I don't think people can really grasp this sometimes, but they are completely immune to magic damage. They take no damage from magic damage. So that LeBlanc that's fed, she can't kill that minion except with her weak little
Well,
auto
yeah,
attacks.
Yeah.
And so it promotes a certain type of playstyle. One is that you really have to look at the team that you're going against. But if they're a very AP heavy team, both items are great, but this is especially good against a very AP heavy team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's really, really good
Well-
at dealing with like magic damage, like wave clear. Like it creates. It can be used to create pressure in a side lane, and it really just kind of like Doom said. As somebody who plays a lot of wave clear mages, it's really frustrating when that big wave comes and then there's this minion that's like impossible for me to kill.
Right. But as much as we like to, mention it here and there and stuff like that, this really is more of that niche item that builds out of Aegis compared to
I don't
Locket.
know. I think it's pretty good. If
Well, the problem is you really have to have both favorable conditions in a lane, that you're creating pressure elsewhere, that siege minion can really do its job, or you have to have a team that cannot reliably kill that minion when you are sieging. Because you got to remember, you're losing that whole shield active
yeah, but
when you're
I
taking
don't.
this item.
Well, okay. So first off, I was wrong in saying that minions don't get the magic resist. Actually, throughout the entire item tree, Legion grants the buff to both minions and champions. I just looked it up to verify. So they do
Okay.
actually. So and with that being, what I think is more important isn't necessarily the active. While the active is important, you don't necessarily get Aegis because of the active. More often than not, you're getting Aegis for the AoE magic resist, and you're also getting it because it just gives really nice stats for like just defensive stats. It's just a solid defensive stat item, and it gives a bonus to your team. And then from there, you look to see which active you need. You look to see, do I need to protect my team, or do I need to separate the enemy? And I think that is the distinctive thing that you should focus on more so than what's going to be more useful. What do you need to do?
Yeah, but
That's a good point, but you also have to look at this provides ability power, and are you going to benefit from that?
But
a lot of it too.
yeah,
60
yeah.
ability power is a lot of
Yeah.
ability power.
So you got to
like-
make sure that you're going to benefit from it, but also you have to look at it from the aspect of you really have to look at their team comp. If they have a 3 AD comp and you build this, it's kind of stupid because they can clear through that minion no problem. Yeah, it
Yeah,
takes
agreed.
reduced turret damage as well. That bonus, that buffed minion, but but it's still going to get taken down pretty quick by an ADC. So
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
agree with that. I think that if they have a heavy amount of AD, running Banner of Command isn't the best idea. However, it still is definite. I don't think it's as niche as people think it is. I think it can be used in a lot of situations and creates a lot of opportunities that you just don't see if you don't try. Like you
Yeah.
may not even try it, and all of a sudden you do it, and you're like, holy shit, they legit have to deal with that thing.
yeah, I mean,
it can get to that situation, and
poke comps.
sorry, but I really think that of the two, you will normally get your money out of Locket every time you build it.
Yeah, that's true.
That
Yeah.
really the same cannot be said
For sure.
for Banner of Command.
And it is possible
But the
to
times
snowball.
that you build it, you can really ruin someone's day. Hell, I've seen people take that on Malphite top when they're against an AP laner. They rush that item and just completely, utterly just make that enemy laner just want to rage quit the game.
It's also worth noting that it is possible to just snowball a side lane with really good minion management and wave control, and just setting up the wave properly. There's certainly advantages to Banner, especially because you can do it like from base, and it really screws over AP heavy comps and whatnot. But it's not like you need Banner to pressure a side lane without being there.
Correct. It helps, and it adds that constant threat, especially against teams that rely a lot on their APs to be able to clear. So maybe they have like a Morgana, a LeBlanc, a
Lux,
Xerath, Ziggs. Yeah, it's champs, Anivia, champs that have those big AOE, wave clear abilities. That are going to are usually tend to be the ones that go to a lane,
It's
clear it down,
absolutely-
and start shoving the wave the other
It
way.
is absolutely hilarious getting Banner of Command on a cannon minion that also has Baron buff.
Because they can't reach it.
It is
Oh,
the
God,
funniest
And
thing.
it's just long range, massive purple balls of doom.
So,
Good way to put
any closing stuff you guys want to say about these three items here before we move on?
If you're unsure, go lock it. If you're looking between the two, but if your team needs some magic resist and you need something to give you that little extra oomph in a team fight, don't ever be afraid to build one of the Aegis items.
Sure.
Yeah.
Banner of Command. I mean, I like both of them. I personally prefer Locket over the two, but Banner of Command definitely have been seeing how it's very beneficial and does create plenty of opportunities. So test
And
around
Frank
with
the
it.
Tank.
And Frank the Tank.
Frank the Tank.
Play around with it. Find where it works, find where it doesn't, and get familiar with these items because I think they're great, especially if with our current topic of the day. These are this should be one of your go-to items in almost every situation.
Nice job. So, let us then talk about our main topic for the week: getting carried. A lot of times we see people ask, not only here but around the league community, what can I do when I am either behind or like my situation that I have isn't the best for carrying myself to a victory. And it's something that we say often, so we wanted to take the time to really talk about how to really get carried in League.
And it's really a completely like undervalued skill. Like, especially if you're trying to climb in solo queue, a lot of times a good tactic is not necessarily just like outright crushing your lane opponent because you're going to face better and better opponents. It's about recognizing the advantages that you have on your team and working around them. And we're definitely going to talk a lot about that in tonight's episode.
Yeah, it can depend on the type of champ you're playing too, because there are some champs that just aren't really going to carry a game by themselves. Very supporty style champions usually um, can't completely carry by themselves. They really kind of need to set someone else to carry them to victory. So sometimes getting carried is just knowing how to set up your teammates for success.
I think it's
Right.
also important to note that this, first and foremost, it's a mindset. You know, you got to go into this with the idea of, I am doing this to be absolutely helpful. And you come to this conclusion after being in the game. It's not something that you decide in Champ Select. It's something that you recognize after the course of the game goes, that you just, it's something, well, we talked about this earlier. We wanted to make this really clear to you guys. Getting carried doesn't necessarily mean that you've fallen behind. It just means that you see an opportunity for somebody else to play the game to the level that you need to win, and you will do everything in your power to make that happen. That's what getting carried is. And
Yeah.
Although-
it can be because you're behind. It can.
And I think that does happen a lot. And people do get discouraged, wondering, is there any way to salvage this game, or do we just forfeit at 20? But jumping right into it here, the first thing you really need to do is reevaluate your own win conditions within that game. If things didn't go as you planned, or if what you thought was going to happen in the game didn't happen, maybe that unfavorable matchup in the mid lane really actually played out for your team. And now that Lux, that supposedly was going to lose her lane at the start of it, is now up 3-0. Or, maybe you're down 2-0 in your own lane and you're looking, okay, what can I do to still win this game? So it's important to first look at your team, look and see what is going right for your team and what is going to have the highest probability to carry us to a victory.
Yeah, it can be really frustrating. I see a lot of people, they're off like in top lane or wherever, and like they get into like an all in, and then like they just barely lose, or like maybe they just died to a gank or something, and then it completely tilts the lane and it gets rougher and rougher, and like the enemy laner gets a power spike, and then it's like, man, I feel so helpless. Like I can't 1v1, I can't dominate, I can't do all these things. And that's not always fun. It admittedly, like, it's
No.
not always fun to be in that spot, but that doesn't mean the game is over. And recognizing that the game is not over and realizing there's still a way to win is actually like, that is what can win you a lot of games in solo queue, or
Right,
just
'cause
in general.
You're not
Absolutely.
always going to be in that position. If you play Master Yi in a lot of your games or whatever, your main goal is to be the one that's getting ahead, but that's not going to happen every game. But it doesn't mean that you're always going to lose those games. So you really have to salvage what you can and still try to make the best of that game.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, kind of from personal experience, a lot of people know I play a lot of Wukong, and I find sometimes, Wukong tends to be best when when he's built with a fair amount of damage. But if I'm not doing well, the main thing I start focusing on is, I mean, his ult with a Black Cleaver shreds armor and it gives a knockup. So I just go get my Black Cleaver, go full tank, and get lots of CDR and just become a ult machine.
And-
Ult whenever I get a chance. Get those pop-ups to set up my teammates to get those kills, and shred armor and set up my carry to shred down the team.
This is based on the notion that when you start to get behind, it's better to build tanky. This does not apply to
absolutely.
every situation. The caveat I like to add to this is build tanky if you add utility to the team
Yeah.
in the form of CC, heals, shields, and the
Auras,
like.
auras.
Yeah, usually if
if-
you're an AD carry, you building tanky isn't
AD
going to do anything because your
carries-
job is to do damage.
Assassins and the like. If they get behind, building tanky is not going to happen. It's not going to help at all. There's no real situation I can think of where I can say, you know what, Talon, you need to be getting a Sunfire cape. It doesn't happen. The role of assassins and AD carries is they need to be outputting damage.
Yeah.
Um,
However, you can still adjust your build accordingly to
Yes.
to change it.
in the
For
form of like
example,
lifesteal and stuff like
and
that.
like
Yeah.
attack speed and movement speed. Early boots and early attack speed helps you migrate around the map faster and,
QSS.
and allows you to reposition quicker. So I mean, there are ways of building accordingly depending on what's happening.
Or also look at it from your game plan and what you're doing. If you've been sitting in lane and you're getting stomped on and your 2v2 lane is an 80 carry and your support isn't able to protect you from them diving or hitting skill shots or whatever, but you see, hey, my jungle's pretty tanky or he's going around and doing some stuff, maybe it's time to start following your jungler around and seeing what opportunities you can get by following him around.
Absolutely.
You know,
So-
just it's identifying what to do when you want to get carried has a lot to do with adjusting your build and adjusting your play style in the middle of a game.
And
Well-
while we're on the topic
Okay,
of
you guys go
items-
ahead.
Sorry, while we're on the topic of items, before we move to another area, is a lot of times people will go on a website, whether it's pro builds, champion GG, etc., or they'll read some guide somewhere, and they'll see that such and such champion builds like a whole bunch of different damage, or like it's like, wow, look, this person built a Trinity Force, and they built this, and they built all these things, and they're like so strong. I totally need to do that.
Right.
That if you go back, we did a whole episode on itemizing for the game you're in, and if you're 0-3 in lane and you're behind like 30 CS, if
That's
you're
not gonna happen.
you're probably better off not just going for like you're finishing your Trinity Force and going into Bork. You might need to actually survive.
Right, and that really comes from empowering the rest of your team to be
Yes.
able to make up for your deficit. Sure, you may not be able to half health the target you were intending to as Vi with your ultimate when you wanted to build Trinity Force, but now you're still able to lock up that person, potentially provide more CC if you go something like Iceborne Gauntlet or Randuin's or something of the like, to allow the rest of your team to be able to lock down that target and take them out. And because of that, now you're at an advantage.
So yeah, Haber,
Yeah, go ahead.
jumping to the point you said originally, what are some ways you can evaluate your win conditions? I guess we'll go from the idea that you're falling behind, because that's a very common example where you might want to try and get carried. So what are some things to look for to decide what is your win condition?
The first thing, I think the most important thing for you to do is, as soon as you get it in your head, okay, this lane, this jungle isn't going in my favor, the first thing everyone needs to do is press tab.
Yeah.
Just take a quick survey of who's up in CS, who has an item advantage, who has a kill advantage in lane, and then wherever that highest strength is, prioritize them. It doesn't matter if you're top lane, you're bottom lane, you can still roam. You can roam anywhere on the map. I can't count the number of games that I've seen support go all the way up to top lane just to make a successful play, and that potentially could have been the play that won them the game, because they recognize that it is their top laner that is going to be the one that carries them once they start getting into team fights and stuff like that. So getting that early advantage, no matter where it is on the map, is absolutely crucial.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. And just kind of seeing, sometimes the best thing you can do is, hey, who's the most fed on my team? I'm going to stick with them. And just seeing what happens. Sometimes it's getting those assists that will help you get that gold that you need to build items and get back in the game. Sometimes it's they're able to find those opportunities, and you're there to help them exploit those opportunities even more and take advantages in the game. Don't ever be afraid to, you see like your mid laner get ganked by the jungler and suddenly he's 2-0 because he kills the jungler and the other mid laner. go help him push that tower down and let him carry you to victory. You know,
Yeah.
protect him with all of your might and make sure that he just gets fed as fuck and is
Another
blowing everyone up.
another good reason to do this is since your laner is already ahead, if you go into that matchup, it's more likely that they are going to get more ahead, and by extension, you will as well. Getting that free assist or kill gold, whatever it is along with whatever objectives you're able to obtain after the fact, helps you put you back on par against your lane or jungle opponent.
Yeah. And then the flip side of this, you can notice who's weak on the enemy team. Like, who's just looking like they're not playing so high. Like, oh, the ADC's just kind of slacking on farm, getting kind of poked down easily. I think he's easy pickings. Like, and then making a judgment call and going for that person and, like, just working with what you can see. Picking off people that you think might be easy to pick off, like, those are some of the best opportunities right there. Because they're built on confidence. It's built on, I'm going in this with the idea of I'm gonna get this guy. It's not necessarily like I'm here to help. It's I'm here to kill. And that right there can sometimes be enough to get exactly that, like just the pure raw force of it.
And to build on Asturgeon's point, we did almost a whole episode, like basically talking about this dive versus peel concept. If you identify, a lot more champions have ways to peel, and a lot more champions have ways to like do more things than what their ability or it seems like its main purpose is. So, I mean, obviously, I'll use TF and Lux because the two of us play a lot of those champions. It may seem like, okay, you know, my job is to, you know, catch somebody in an ability, lock them down, do some crazy combo, and then like get some awesome kills. And in some cases, that might be exactly what you're supposed to do. But if you find that your team is collapsing under the weight of the enemy team, but you've got one Vayne on your team that has 11 kills and is trying her best to carry your sorry asses, then I'm going to save my gold card to protect that Vayne.
At the end of the day, a victory is a victory. Your KDA does not play into that factor. The only thing that matters. God, shut up. The only thing that matters is whose Nexus is destroyed.
That's true.
The game does not care what your KDA is as far as calculating LP.
Yeah.
However, though, the less you die, the better usually. So,
Which segue? Oh, okay. Like,
die.
oh boy.
Yes.
I love it. Like,
That was intentional.
a lot of times, if you or someone else gets behind, the first thing that comes out in chat is, okay, just don't die anymore. Please, just don't die anymore.
There's a reason. Like, a lot of people, they get triggered by that or some shit. Like that is, like, people don't recognize just how bad it is to die.
It comes from a place of love, everyone.
All right, you
It
die.
really does.
You die, okay? And you say the death timers are at 30 seconds and it takes, you know, an average of about 10 seconds to get from base to somewhere where you can start farming.
Whoa.
That is 40 seconds.
Let's assume you have home guards.
Yeah, okay, we're
then
assuming.
it's 10 seconds.
Okay, so let's say 15 then, just
yeah,
to,
that's good.
okay, 15. So that's 45 seconds where you're not earning gold, you're not earning experience, you're not pushing an objective, you're not doing anything to help your team win that game. That is why dying is so bad. You are not doing anything for you or your team. If the other team is alive, they're earning gold that you aren't. They're earning experience that you aren't. That's how people get ahead of you. So just don't die. You want to get carried? Don't die. Just stop dying.
Right. And like, let's say from the top lane perspective, you are behind in your matchup. That Darius is very imposing. sometimes your tower won't even save you. So if you're not going to get any help from a jungler or anyone else to come up to your lane, just leave it. Let the tower go. A tier 1 tower is easy to make up in gold. If you're not there also dying with it. If you can go to another lane and farm, take a scuttlebutt, just try to do something that will be important for your team, especially providing vision as well. The one thing I discourage people from doing when they're behind in lane and leaving lane, don't just start farming your own jungle.
Nope.
Yeah.
Because that is basically the equivalent of just going to your mid laner and just started taking their farm
Yeah.
and then leaving.
What if
no one's going to be happy
if,
with you.
What if
It's
you're playing
greedy.
mid lane and your jungler just jumps up in your lane, just taxes you for like 2 seconds, and then
For no
walks away?
reason.
That's exactly what you're doing to your jungler
Yes.
when you kill a king.
Right, because, I mean, it
It's-
helps to get you some much needed gold that at that point you desperately need, but it's at the cost of experience and gold
Here's a
to
thought.
another person on your team.
Here's a
It's-
thought.
it's
Ask.
greedy.
Fucking ask. Hey, Udyr.
Yeah.
Can I have your golems? Yeah, dude, go for it, buddy. They'll be back up in a minute. I'll be over there. I'll skip that one for this route. Like, that's all you have to do. Just don't outright take it. Just
Yeah,
ask
it's-
first.
Especially when it comes to buffs. If you're behind, don't take buffs. Just don't take red. Don't take blue.
Never take
No.
buffs when you're behind.
Do-
If-
Yeah.
Do
if you're a
not do
mid
that.
laner behind, you bet your sorry
I thought
ass
that
you're not
was a
getting
rule.
blue.
Like, I thought that,
Yeah.
that was
Well,
like
no.
in the
Yeah,
Summoner's
yeah.
Code or
that's what we're
something.
trying to point out. Is just you don't take it, and the whole point is because you are more likely to die because you're behind. So that's just handing a free blue over to them or a free red. It is stupid. It is selfish. It is not going to help your team. It's not going to give you that edge that you need to now win when you try to go face to face against the guy who's 0-2 up on you. Don't do it. It's stupid. Stop taking buffs when you're behind.
But-
Stop it.
Yeah, no, but
Stop it.
to add on to the point about buffs, since you brought it up, if you're, for example, your mid laner is doing extremely well, like I would say, try and make it a priority if they're very mana reliant, like an Anivia or something. Like, make sure you get them that blue buff when they need it, because that extra mana could be the difference between them applying enough pressure to help carry the game or having to base at a critical time because they don't have enough mana to like keep pushing their lead. And you want it to take and seize every advantage you possibly can to be successful in this game. And something as small as, giving a buff to somebody who could really benefit from it could make a world of difference.
Right.
Hey,
So go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, one of the biggest things you can do is just, like we were saying, is be utility. And you know what you could do is, I don't know, build some utility items like Aegis of the Legion or Lock of the Iron Solari. I don't know when we talked about that.
I really want to say here, because we were just on the topic of not dying, that the way I put it is, especially in the top lane 1v1 example, if you want to get carried, the first thing you got to do is swallow your pride.
Yep.
Because
Right.
a lot of people, they'll play a champion, and it's a champion that, it's a duelist or something, somebody that they like getting kills, they like snowballing, they like being a force on the map, and that's all perfectly fine. But there comes a point where you're 0-2 and you're down 25 CS where you're just not going to outright crush your opponent, with some exceptions like crazy scaling champions, but you're just not going to auto turn around the lane. Like, I'm sorry, it's gone. It doesn't matter if you got ganked. It doesn't matter whatever happened. The lane is lost, and you need to play around that. And swallowing your pride is like the first step in the 12-step recovery plan to actually winning a game.
Yep.
Yeah, it's really important. Like, just because you got behind in a certain lane doesn't mean you're a bad player. And I mean, you think of this in any other sort of game, like football, basketball, soccer, whatever it may be. everyone's going to think you're a selfish asshole if you're the one saying, okay, I know I lost a few points early. Just give me the ball. I will fuck that person up next time I go around. It's no, you're going to get benched if you start doing that. You need to start playing for the team here. So you need to swallow your pride, take whatever is left in your team that has a possibility of winning and investing it into that. I'm looking at here what we have to say next. You know, I said this a little earlier. If you don't have anything else to do, getting vision or taking vision away can really help your team to set up other plays and deny opportunities for the enemy team as well. It may not be getting you experience in gold, but it's ensuring that no additional gold comes to the enemy team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, keep track of your laner too. I mean, if you are able to just, you might be playing the hug the tower game. You might be playing the I'm gonna give up, 15 CS on my lane opponent just so that I don't give up another kill game. And I'm not gonna lie to you, it's probably not the most fun way to play League of Legends. But you making that decision could be the difference between that top laner roaming to mid and getting like a double kill on him, the enemy jungler, or like carrying a dragon fight, or like it could snowball to a whole bunch of things. But you just being patient and refusing to give the opponent opportunities to snowball it can be a game-winning move. It's sometimes as simple as that.
The whole point of the concept of getting carried is taking the focus away from yourself and moving it towards the team as a collective. So you don't have to view losing in lane, in farm, kills, whatever it may be, as a defeat. It's more of changing that mindset and moving forward in that game to still get to the ultimate goal of taking down the enemy's nexus.
Yeah, and like Asderishan said at the start, it's not always that just because, you're behind, so now you have to play to get carried. Sometimes there's just opportunities on your team. Like I could be relatively even in lane, but like my bot lane is just stomping them, like stomping their throats.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that they're not just like stomping their throats. Like I want their like entire enemy's bot lane's family crying for their loss because of how humiliating it was. I'm going to help that bot lane become a terror that the entire enemy team can't deal with.
Mm-hmm. So, looking at some general tips here. Another big point we want to make here is, I guess we already talked about it a little bit, but peeling.
Yeah, episode
Yes.
31, by the way.
Right.
For those of you that want to go back and listen to it, it was episode 31 that we kind of went more in depth about it. But I mean, it is relatively straightforward. There's only so much that you can do for yourself, but what can you do in a team fight? And peeling is the biggest thing, I think, in a team fight that you can do. Using your spells accordingly to defend and protect the proper people. And like these are typically going to be like your damage dealers or the people that like are objective takers. Those are the people you want to prioritize and protect.
Yeah. Any person that can potentially build tanky, that provides utility, can peel for the team.
Actually, honestly, I'm in agreement to the point that anybody can peel. Like if you have CC or if you have damage, you can peel. If you have if you can out damage somebody to the point where they're like, I can't stay here anymore. I can't be in 3 people or else I'm gonna die. That is enough. Like me blowing my load on the Maokai, even though I'm Lux, and getting him down to 1/4 health might be enough to get him off of the Lucian so that he can continue to kite. Like that's all I need to do. And like that might be the peeling that the mage needs to do. Like
okay. I want to finish up here with some closing stuff because we promised we'd get to at least one listener question here this week. So let's talk about a few general tips. Aaron, do you want to start?
Yeah, absolutely. First, enjoy being carried because it's nice if you let it. If you're running behind and you're feeling down, you're like, damn it, I fed in the laning phase, or I I didn't take the other jungler into account, and I just, I made a stupid move trying to invade, or I got counter jungled, and I should have seen it coming. Um, Turn it around and just say, hey, cool, let me ride on the coattails of this person on my team that's ahead. Let me help them get ahead more, and let's still win this damn game, because it doesn't matter how bad I started. I still have a chance to win this game. So I'm going to do
Right.
everything in my power to make sure that we win this game, regardless of what I did before this moment.
Right. It's goes back to what Froz said earlier. It really is about swallowing your pride. You're never the most important person on the team. You can never be the person that 1v5s. Granted, some miracle or some very, very good playmaking. You still rely on your own team to win the game. So when you give up that burden of responsibility of, okay, I need to be the one that carries this team to victory. I'm the only person that can do it. And transition to a role of, I need to support this team. Our team can beat their team if we work together. That's the point where you allow yourself to be carried by your own team, and you're going to win more games.
Yes.
I see a tip on here that is not written exactly the way I would put it, but one thing that helped me a lot personally, because I used to get super frustrated, especially in like top lane, where it was like I was like winning the lane pretty hard, and then like right as I went for an all in, like I'd get ganked or something, and then like the lane would completely swing, and then like people are like typing in chat like "wow scrub" or something like one
GG uninstall.
honestly, like not in addition to swallowing your pride, it's just removing all mental distractions that are just gonna like not help you win the game. And for me, one of those big things is the second I hear anyone say anything that's like not gonna be productive, like I just mute them immediately and I just focus on, okay, what do I need to do to win? And getting into that mindset, do whatever you need to do, whether it's muting some of your teammates that you think are going to be hostile, whether it's, turning up your like calm, relaxing music or getting in the zone.
Turn on Bob Ross for a while.
Sure, put it on Bob Ross Twitch stream on the side. If that helps you, whatever helps you to just say, okay, you know what? I fucked up, but I'm still going to win this game. Let me get back in the zone. I don't care. I don't need my support saying wow GG scrub surrender at 20 or something.
Yep. Also think about utility and think about what you can do for your team that doesn't necessarily involve getting kills. Think about utility, think about utility items like, Banner of Command, Lock of Iron Solari, even ZZ Rot Portal, or just think of any way you can provide utility to your team.
Right. And that includes items,
Vision,
Sightstone, even stuff.
Mental support, like say you're the damage dealer that's behind, and the support has a job of needing to go roam. Be like, hey support, we need to get some wards down over on Dragon. Let's go do that. I'll back you up. Stuff like that. Like it's not just in what you buy or what you place down, but it's also in what you do. Like where you go and who you help. It's important. So, I mean, picking the right person to be the person that you're helping and those sorts of things, like. Just be helpful. Like, just do what you can to be helpful.
Right.
Yeah.
Any other points you guys want to make before we move on here?
One thing that we didn't get a chance to really talk about in detail, because it's a bit more complex, is, if you're playing the jungle role, something as simple as recognizing a lead and then like warding or counter ganking around it could make a huge difference in making sure that you maintain that advantage in a particular area. And I think especially the jungle role in general is about looking for opportunities on the map.
absolutely.
So it's definitely a really useful skill to learn to get carried. Like it's useful for every single role. Like learn to recognize win conditions, learn to recognize advantages in the game. I can't honestly, I feel like if you put a lot of high level players against lower level players and they all just like gave up first blood to their lane opponents, they would still find ways to turn around the game because they know how to find other advantages and then use those to eventually win the game.
Well,
Yeah,
speaking of, I mean, I think this is a perfect time to talk about this listener question from Keyboard Cat about, when you get behind, how to come back from that.
Yeah,
So,
good point.
I mean, and we're running a little low on time, so I think we should
Yeah.
move along here.
Yeah, hit it.
So, listener question from Keyboard Cat. He says, or she, I can't remember. When laning, it's a cat. I don't care. When laning when laning and falling behind, sometimes I find myself under turret with low/very low health. I feel like I get killed under turret far too often from sticking around too long. So my question is, when should I back and sacrifice farm for safety? And when should I stick it out and try to farm or stick around? Difference based on lanes and champions, of course.
This is a really good question.
I like
It
this.
really is. I mean, if you're laning and falling behind and you're low health, if you think that there's an opportunity that you or a potential that you could get killed, just back off. Back off and go heal up because it's better than feeding over that kill. Yeah, I mean, if it may suck if you lose out on a minion wave or something like that, that can suck, but you know what? It's still better than dying. So if you're unsure and you don't feel confident, you're better off just going back so that you don't die.
Is that
This-
sad that I think that's the perfect answer? Like, if you
Aw,
don't,
thank you.
That's the safest thing to do, honestly, in
but,
most
like, beyond
situations.
that-
The safest option
Beyond
is
that,
almost
though,
always the best option.
if you're asking this question, it means you're not comfortable on the champion enough to determine whether or not you can stay. And if that's the case, it's no insult to you, but that means you better be safe than sorry and just leave until you are comfortable being in that position, which is fine. I play in that position all the time because I love baiting people into trying to think that they can kill me when I know damn well that they're not going to be able to do it. And I'll bait a kill under turret because I know how to do that. But if you're asking when you should leave, it means that you're not comfortable fighting in that situation, which means you should probably leave.
go ahead.
Sorry, that's it. That's it.
Yeah, speaking of baiting here, it's important to realize where other people are in the map relative to you, and what resources you could potentially have available when you are stuck at that turret at
Exactly.
low health, whether it's a jungler, mid lane, or whatever, that may be coming to give you support. Baiting is, oh God, I love it so much.
It's so dirty.
Uh,
it feels
It
so
is,
good.
but it is high risk versus it is high risk and reward.
Well,
So
it's not.
you-
though.
It's not-
It's not
it-
high,
it's-
high risk if you know the character.
If you play it right,
Yeah.
and if you know when support can show up via jungler or anyone else that may be roaming to you, let's
Or
say
a
top
level,
lane
or
for
a level can be exactly what you need to pull some
Mhm.
crazy bait out. I've done it.
Yeah.
a bajillion
Yeah.
times.
So I want to say honestly, I think that's such a huge point. And I know I responded via email to this, and like I listed out a whole bunch of factors you can consider because the answer varies from champion and etc.
Yes.
Like the listener mentioned, and some of the more you're able to make like a running pros and cons list in your head really quickly of a few factors, it can help decide whether or not it's the right idea to stay. And like for instance, one of the most obvious things is whether or not you have your flash. Like
Oh
if
yeah.
if you have your flash, your ability to outplay someone is like significantly higher than if you don't.
or
and
any
it's-
real defensive summoner spells, be it heal.
Or
Uh-huh.
if they have their
Barrier.
flash and et cetera. Like summoner spells in general are if you are have you been tracking those? If you've been tracking them, it can help you decide, okay, like if he's gonna go in, I'm gonna pop barrier and flash to the side, and now he's gonna look like an idiot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there
well-
are times when like 99%.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Quick tip to everyone: when you press the tab, it will show on the enemy team if they took any reduction in summoner spells. It will show the exact cooldown of their spells. It will not just show the regular 300 seconds for flash. If they took the certain mastery or whatever, it will show 200 seconds, 210 seconds or whatever for flash.
Yeah, and you know there are a lot of it kind of comes down to getting comfortable with the champion, knowing when you can and when you can't beat something, but also, knowing the matchups, just playing against different matchups. I can tell you 99% of the time, if you're playing against a Tryndamere, just go back, because it doesn't matter who you are. You're probably going to get dove and you're probably going to die.
I kill Tryndamere on a daily basis, and I
Well,
love doing it too.
Yeah, but I mean, he's one that's
Him,
his
Nasus,
niche. That's what he
Renekton,
does.
They
is
have
he
a lot of
does.
stuff that they can pull out.
That's the best
and that's
part,
I think
though,
the point.
is that they think that they can do it, and then when they can't, they just get hella caught off guard because they're like, I thought this is what I do.
Yeah, but I
then
mean,
they
once
don't
again,
do it
that
right,
that
or-
comes down to being very comfortable with the champ and with the matchup. So, I mean, time always helps. Just keep playing. Try to limit your champion pool. Stick to a champ. Get comfortable with them, and and learn those little those minute little differences of, all right, yeah, I have enough damage, no I don't, yeah, I have enough health, no I don't.
Especially with the new rank season coming up, this is the time where I think if you are serious about improving your status in ranked, this is the time to start again narrowing your champion pool to a few champions per lane at the most, and really, really getting comfortable. And that may mean going into some normal games, doing things you may not normally do with, so like staying behind at that turret when you are low health, figuring out what exactly your capacity is on that champion, what your limitations are, and then accounting for those when you get into serious games.
I think the big point, to add on to what Haber's saying, first, obviously, develop champion mastery, practice a few champions, and learn them really well. And second, if you do die to a dive and it was like close or something, take stock of why you died. Okay, so
Right.
you were playing, whether you're the diver or the one being dove. Like, okay, you were playing Malzahar or something. You thought you were safe, but your ultimate wasn't going to be up for a few seconds. Like, very obvious stuff. But like, if there's other situations where it's like, oh, I died because I went from this angle and I didn't have this summoner spell. Next time, I know that in this situation, maybe I'll be a little bit less likely to actually stay and make the risk. And educating yourself and responding accordingly applies to just about every aspect of your play. Like,
Yeah.
it's a good way to get better at the
On
game.
the flip side, though, learning how to fight in a dive situation rather than
Mhm.
learning how to fall out before you get dove. Like, I mean, we're talking about how we deal with dives, and that's the ideal. Is you want to get to the point where you're not avoiding the dive, you're taking the dive and turning it back on them. So
Yeah.
every chance you get, fight them. Like, if you notice you get dove and you think you're like, and you are like, oh, here we go again, fight them. Just outright fight them. See what you can do to maybe pull that
In
your
the context
favor.
of like non-serious rank games.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah,
absolutely,
if
yes.
you're
the thing.
if you're really worried about the match, especially like a ranked match or something like that, the answer is almost always the safest option, which is whatever's the
Right.
safest option, do it, because it's better than
hell,
dying.
Go-
to be
going back-
honest, at this point, I'm more inclined to say just stay. If it's not a ranked game, stay until you learn how to deal with.
Oh
dives.
yeah,
Right, yeah, right.
if you want to learn
But-
it, sure, go ahead to your heart's content, but
I
learn from it.
agree with Doom what he said at the start of this conversation. It's better in serious situations to be safe rather than sorry, because that outer turret, while it does give the enemy team a brief increase in gold, we went through this whole episode of ways that you can go to make that back up. It's
Yeah.
not the end of the world to make that, and by staying behind and dying, if you're unsure whether you or not you can actually fight that, you're then just giving them that more of a lead. So take that safe way if you're unsure.
Can I give an example? Like, an example
Yeah.
that I find all the time that, like, honestly can change games. A lot of times in bot lane, it's a lot of like too low health people like hanging under the turret because they're like losing their lane. And they're like convinced, like, I need to defend this turret, like it's my life. I've got no health, like I've barely got anything going for me, but we're gonna stay under this turret, damn it. Like, I think if they might dive, but
Mhm.
we're gonna stay. If if all of a sudden
Definitely diving.
Well, especially because if you're staying behind in that low of a health, the jungler, the mid laner, whoever is looking at you ever
Exactly.
even more greedily, think, "Oh, that's a really fucking easy kill. I can go in and clean that up, lickety split."
If you're looking at the map and you're seeing that the enemy mid and jungle or something are coming towards bot lane and you're staying under that turret with low health, you just need to get the hell out of there. Like, don't think like the odds of you outplaying a 4v2 dive or even really a lot of 3v2 dives, but definitely
Yeah.
not 4v2 dives. Like, the odds of you turning that around are so slim. And if it goes wrong, you're giving up 2 kills. The tower's still going to die. And let's be honest, you're probably not getting that much CS if you're trying to like get like survive multiple people attacking you and you have barely any health under the turret. Just
Yeah.
just let it go. And if you let it go, you lose the turret, whatever. But you can still come back. If you lose the turret, give up 2 kills, and then you're dead. Like, you're gonna lose another objective. You're gonna have a massive gold swing. It's gonna be a nightmare.
Yep. So, Mike, I'm gonna let you have the final word in this question before we close down here. Is there anything else you want to say?
To be honest, really not really. Like, just be smart and think about what you're doing and be diligent in why you're doing it. Like, have reason, and like we always say, just be aware, you know? Have an awareness of why you're doing things. I think that's the most important
Okay.
part of it all.
Tactical decision, Summoner.
Exactly.
God damn it. Now I gotta
Eliminate
go
the
back.
enemy.
Now I gotta go
I'm
back
so
and
gonna
listen
go
to
watch
that.
Yeah, I'm already. All right, YouTube. I'm already opening you
Guys.
up right now.
Yeah, thanks for sticking around through this episode. All the links that we talked about in the news will be posted with the show notes here. Please go check them
promise.
out. We'll be back again next week. We got plenty of stuff lined up here that we're really excited about. Thanks for tuning in this week. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Okay, I really got to go to the bathroom here.